Marco is making patterns with gray and white circular mats. The patterns form a sequence. Marco makes a table to show some information about the patterns. A. Complete the table for pattern 5. So in order to complete the table, we must notice what the pattern is for the sequence. So if we start with the number of gray mats, notice that the numbers increase by 3. So plus 3, plus 3, and plus 3. Therefore, the fifth term must be 15 plus 3, so that's 18. For the total number of mats, we can see that from 6 to 10, it's plus 4. From 10 to 5, it's plus 5. And from 15 to 21, it's plus 6. So therefore, the next term must be plus 7. And therefore, the next term is 21 plus 7, so that's 28. B. Find an expression in terms of n for the number of gray mats in pattern n. So it wants us to find the nth term for the sequence of the number of gray mats. We already know from part A that the pattern is add 3 as you go along. Therefore, we know for sure that the nth term must be some form of 3n plus c. And in order to find c, we just need to substitute a known value in. We know that when n is equal to 1, the term or the number of gray mats is equal to 6. That means that when you substitute n equals 1, it needs to be 6. So that's 3 multiplied by 1 plus c is equal to 6. And therefore, you can use this to solve for c. And c is equal to 3. Therefore, the nth term is 3n plus 3. And we can always double check this to see whether it works for the other terms as well. So if we try substituting n equals 2, we know that it has to equal 9 because the number of gray mats in pattern 2 is 9. If I try that, 3 multiplied by 2 plus 3 is equal to 6 plus 3, so that's 9. So therefore, that's correct. C. Marco makes a pattern with 24 gray mats. Find the total number of mats in this pattern. If we go back to the table and look at the number of gray mats, from 18, if we add 3, then add 3 again, we get 21, then 24. Therefore, we are looking at this term in the sequence, the term with 24 gray mats. And for the total number of mats, we know that the pattern is plus 4, then plus 5, plus 6, plus 7. Therefore, the next term must be plus 8, then plus another 9, which gives 47. Therefore, the total number of mats corresponding to 24 gray mats must be 47 mats. D. Marco needs a total of 6 mats to make the first pattern. He needs a total of 16 mats to make the first 2 patterns. He needs a total of 1 over 6 n to the power of 3 plus an squared plus bn mats to make the first n patterns. Find the value of a and the value of b. If we look at the table from the first part of the question, when it says Marco needs a total of 6 mats to make the first pattern, we can see this from the table because the first term for the sequence of total number of mats is 6. Then it says he needs a total of 16 mats to make the first 2 patterns. 16 comes from 6 and 10. That's 6 plus 10 equals 16. Therefore, the next term in this sequence would be the total number of mats to make the first 3 patterns, and that would have been 6 plus 10 plus 15, which is equal to 31. And then the next term in this sequence would be the total number of mats needed to make the first 4 patterns. So that would have been 6 plus 10 plus 15 plus 21, which is equal to 52. So this is the sequence that the question is describing. Not the total number of mats in each case, but the total number of mats to make the first 2, the first 3, or the first 4, and so on. And when the question says he needs a total of 1 over 6 n to the power of 3 plus a n squared plus b n mats to make the first n patterns, this means that this is the nth term representing this sequence. The first term corresponding to n equals 1, the second term corresponding to n equals 2, and so on, just like a regular sequence. So we know for a fact that if we substitute n equals 1 into the nth term, it will give 6. So if we substitute the n in the nth term with 1, this will equal 6. If you simplify that, that turns into 1 over 6 plus a plus b equals 6. We can do the same for the second term because we know that when n is equal to 2, the nth term is equal to 16. Therefore, if we substitute n with 2, the expression should be equal to 16. And if we simplify that, it turns into 8 over 6 plus 4a plus 2b equals 16. And now we have two equations involving a and b, which we can solve simultaneously to get the value of a and b. There are many ways to solve simultaneous equations. For this question, I will move the constant term or the number to the other side first for both expressions. And then I will try to make the coefficient of b the same so that we can subtract or add the two equations to get rid of b first. Now that the coefficient of b is the same for both equations, I can subtract them. And if I simplify it, it turns into a equals 9 over 6, which is the same as 3 over 2. So if a is equal to 3 over 2, I can substitute this value of a into any equation involving a and b to solve for b. So if I substitute it into this one, it turns into 3 over 2 plus b equals 35 over 6, and you can solve for b. And therefore b is equal to 26 over 6, which is the same as 13 over 3. So now we have the values of a and the values of b, so a equals 33 over 2, and b equals 13 over 3. And again, with any sequence questions, if they ask you to find the nth term or some term in the nth term, you can check whether it's correct or not by trying to work out whether it works for the next terms or not. So we use the fact that the first term and the second term are 6 and 16. So we can try substituting 3 in for these values of a and b and see whether it gives 31. And since it does give 31, therefore the values of a and b must be correct.